I'm Joe. I'm 22 years old, I've just graduated from university, and this is my new home, a narrowboat called Lydia.
That didn't happen.
I'll be turning all 57 feet of her into my new home on the water.
Is this really happening? I'm not the most graceful creature.
Roping in a few of my mates to help.
I'm kidding, but it's great.
Learning quite a few new skills along the way.
I've come up with an ingenious solution.
I think it's this.
Work smarter, not harder.
Doing a fair bit of grunting.
Lift with the knees.
Getting out is even harder than getting in. I just want a cup of tea.
All while living aboard. When the renovation is finished, I'll be setting off onto the network for an even bigger adventure. Welcome to the Voyage of Lydia. For the last 3 years, I've lived and studied here in Lincoln. I started my degree in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and through many trials and tribulations, somehow still managed to graduate. I really fell in love with the city, and I wasn't quite ready to leave it when my time at university came to an end. Bricks and mortar have never really appealed to me, so what was I to do? While studying at the uni, I worked during the summers here on the Forsyth Canal. And as I learned more about life afloat on the water through those summers, and while doing a fair bit of research, I decided that once my studies were over, I'd move on to a narrowboat. I do want to stress though that this wasn't a spur of the moment decision. I'd been seriously considering boat life for quite some time before first coming to Lincoln 3 years ago. Now you may be thinking, this guy's nuts. He's 20 odd years old, barely any life experience, and he probably has no idea what he's doing. It may seem that way, but hopefully in this series what I can show you is that young people like myself are often more capable and more resourceful than we're often given credit for. Things admittedly did get off to a bit of a rocky start with the first boat I had surveyed. I'd been to view it, I liked the look of it, and with the obvious need for a bit of TLC, I was pretty confident I'd found what would become, eventually, my new home. So, with Fraser the cameraman in tow, I set off to Otherton Boathaven in Staffordshire. On the nearly 3-hour drive to Otherton Boathaven, I have to be honest, I was a little nervous. I'd seen the boat in the water 2 months previously, and it was clear that the thing needed a lot of love. It had sat idle for 6 months prior to my coming to see it. But what I didn't know was just how much work it would take. The first hurdle, though, was simply entering the boatyard. Oh, that's fantastic, mate. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a sec. Lovely. He's on his way down. We're going to get let in a minute. So, hopefully it's not going to be too long. And then, still don't know where the boat is, so we'll just drive around the boatyard until we find it. Fingers crossed. Once I was through the gate and inside the yard, I met up with my surveyor, lovely chap called Dave Stewart. He showed me round the outside of the boat, and to say I was a little shocked was a bit of an understatement.
I think we knew it was going to need blacking, yeah.
Yeah, bad points. Basically, all it needs is a sleeve in there.
Yeah.
That's all right, actually.
Props okay?
Yeah, 17 times 12.
So is it just a sleeve on the bottom of there?
Yeah.
Right.
Just to stop vibration, because bearings are actually okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't get to there. I'm
Right.
skinny, but I'm not that bad.
Me as well.
And then I've cleaned loads of areas along here.
Yeah.
Where you see
slide down
pitting is in this centre area, because there's no anodes, so that'll be on list.
To be where it's just degraded, yeah. Kind of
it's got
assumes.
no protection whatsoever ever here,
Yeah.
but it ain't gone. And thicknesses are pretty good. I just had to get my jump rates because engine starter batteries had it.
Yeah, that was another
Got a
problem we
well
had.
there that needs topping up.
Oh, just round there.
And here.
Okay.
It's only a 10-minute job. When they're putting anodes on, they'll just be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
The engine was one of the other problems we had, because when we went for the viewing, we tried turning it over and it wouldn't kick.
Yeah, batteries
wouldn't start.
So they obviously know, because they've got it here.
Yeah.
So they must have jumped it. So I just got my jump.
I think the family's either jumped it or put a new battery on. We never found out what really happened with it.
No, that one's dead.
Battery's dead. Can't say I'm
I'll
surprised,
find out once I put my jump cables on.
Yeah.
This shore power inlet, not secure.
Yeah.
That's supposed to have a grommet on, or it's just going to wear away and then kill you.
Yeah. that needs bolting back on for sure.
Paintwork's not too bad. Obviously,
Yeah.
They painted out a name there.
I think that's what
And
they've
then
done, yeah.
on roof it's flaking all over.
Yeah. It was originally listed
Inside,
for...
it's a bit like Liverpool. It fit out inside.
Yeah.
Very much like a Liverpool.
I mean, it was, I think it was built by Lee's. It was built by Lee's.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. I've done them before. You see emblem that's been etched into back, yeah. I actually, as soon as I saw it, I went on all my emails to see if I've actually done it before.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't do it. I just like
you never know, you've been around, yeah.
Well, they've just painted over the rust. You know, that's not going to be too bad.
Yeah.
But it needs a hammer to whack it off, chip it all off. You won't get it off with a grinder.
Yeah,
it's got to be hammered.
Yeah.
Right.
You go and have a look inside?
Yep.
Yeah. We then moved on to the inside of the boat, and Dave made extra sure I was aware of the litany of electrical issues, before Fraser caught me in a slightly inconvenient position. Yeah, there's a lot of work needs doing. That's not windy. Yeah, alternator's not working, battery's not charging. The rev meter on the console doesn't work, so you don't know what RPMs you're doing. There's a lot of water in the engine room because the bilge pump is connected into the battery. That's not, obviously, because the battery's flat, that's not working either. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do. And that's before we even get to like the decorating of all of this at the inside. Ranges on there. From inside the boat, Dave led me out onto the stern and into yet another world of problems.
Oil's well filthy, belts really slack.
Yeah.
That's probably why its batteries had it.
Yeah.
Oil's filthy, coolant's low.
Yeah. I mean, before we went to view it, it had just been stood there for about 6 months, just left.
I shouldn't have to use glow plugs, but... Belt that's slack. Yeah. It is slightly taking a charge, but obviously it's not charging. Just because that's so slack, that's why it's not charging up. Yeah.
Quite a bit of water down there as well. That was the problem we had with the viewing, because the battery wasn't working, the bilge pump wasn't working either because it didn't have an electrical supply, so it wasn't pumping out the water. Yeah. Everything's fixable at the end of the day. This might take a little while, that's all. As I continued to walk around the boat with Dave, discovering more and more problems, I was beginning to have second thoughts. But I didn't want to give up on the boat just yet. Yeah, I knew there'd be work to do when we got it out of the water. I knew it would be bad. But to be honest, I didn't think it would be this bad. So everything's fixable, you know, everything's mendable. It's just figuring out how to do all that and do it myself or with other people. So we'll wait and see. While Dave finished his work, I ventured out in search of a cup of tea, but failed to find anywhere around the marina that was actually open on a Tuesday. So I headed back for a chat with the marina manager and then totted up the list of broken, expired and replacement needing things that I'd seen on the boat. There's a big list of stuff. Bilge pump, the battery's flat, the battery's dead. A lot of the details that were on the brochure were incorrect. Yeah, electrics, there's a lot of electrical problems. The Webasto works fine, but the valves on it, the gauges, the plugs on the oven, Dave was telling us to kill the engine he had to actually take the air filter off and put his hand over it to actually kill the engine, so the off switch, the kill switch, is not working. And more of that besides. That's just what I can remember off the top of my head. So yeah, we'll get a full report hopefully in a couple of days, and then we'll see. But yeah, hopefully before we do a deal, they'll get all of those things fixed, because one of the things that Dave was saying was he'd want them, if it was him, if he was in my shoes, he'd want all of those fixed before he signed any more paperwork or before he handed any money over. And to be honest, I'm inclined to agree with him, because it means there's a little bit less for me to do once we get it up to Lincoln, which is yet another mountain that we'll have to climb. But everything's mendable. It might take a little bit longer to sort out the details now that we know how many issues there are and the scale of the issues. What I'm wondering at the minute is, have I bitten off a bit more than I can chew? To be really honest with you. Because I'm not sure how well you can see it out of the window, but that thing hasn't been blacked for at least 5 or 10 years, and on the brochure it said it had been blacked in 2020, which is only 3 years ago. After Fraser had played with the boatyard's dog,
Don't give me a chance, are you?
and I'd visited a disgusting portaloo, we left the yard. As we drove out, I said something without realising just how right I'd turn out to be. The decisions we make are going to be based off the survey document, which will be a big horror story about all the reasons why we shouldn't buy. Okay, the survey's come back for bond, and well, the thing I said about it being a horror story, about all the reasons why we shouldn't buy the boat, why I shouldn't buy it, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. To say I'm feeling very, very, very disappointed would be a severe understatement, because that boat was going to be my home, you know, and the work that needs doing to it is A, going to cost too much, and B, it's going to take too long. I'm in my student flat right now, and I've only got about a month left on the contract for this. Once that contract is up, because technically I'm not a student anymore, I have to go. So it really feels like a major blow, and it is a major blow. To be honest, I don't really know what to say. apart from the fact that, you know, I am disappointed, very disappointed. The work that needed doing, like I say, it was going to cost far too much and take way too long. The boat was, it just wasn't livable. You know, it looked okay from a cursory glance, but with the survey, and this is the reason why getting a survey is such a good idea, you know. It brings up all of those little problems that you could never anticipate from just a viewing. And yeah, in the case of the name's Bond, there was so many little problems that when they were all lumped together, it was just too much. It was too much. So because of that, because of how the survey came out, I'm not going to be taking Bond any further. We had the viewing, we had the survey, but we're not going to be taking it any further. Yeah, that won't be the boat that eventually becomes Lydia. That night, after a brief phone call with my mum and dad, I felt awful. I've been waiting for this survey for nearly 2 months, and to find out that putting the boat right would take a lot more time and money than I had left me feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. But all wasn't lost. Despite my disappointment, the next morning I had another scroll through the listings, and after a couple of phone calls and a short drive, I found this. Next time on the Voyage of Lydia. Deposit's been taken. I do a deal on a new boat and finally discover the Lydia I've been searching for.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She comes out of the water for blacking and a survey.
Yes. But this bit.
And I set to work on the first step of the renovation. Cleaning. See you next time.